Who has my kids? Sometimes I ask that question, not because I don't know where they are, but because I want to know where they are after I have passed away or if I become incapacitated. My name is Leon Jones Jr. I'm an estate planning and business lawyer, and I want to be able to talk to you today about kids protection planning. You see, I work with young families. I have a young family. I have a 3-year-old and a newborn, and I also have a couple of older kids. And I tell you what, when you start talking about taking care of your children and planning for the future, it's something that parents hold near and dear to their hearts. I know I do. And so as I'm doing estate planning and I'm talking to parents about this, I'm talking to them about things like guardianships. I'm talking to them about long-term and short-term guardians. What happens in the event of an incapacity? What happens in the event of a death? And so we're going to walk through those things today. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And hopefully something in this video will trigger you to think, hey, I need to talk to an estate planning attorney so I can get it together for my children. So first of all, if something happens to you, whether it's an incapacity or a death, where will your children go? And you need to have a plan for the short term and the long term. And what do I mean by that? Let's say that you've done your estate planning and you know that your guardians are going to be taking care of your children, and you pick them out and you talk to them, and they live on the East Coast and you live in the central part of the country, and something happens to you. It's going to take a while for the guardians to get to your children. So you need to be able to identify some short-term guardians, some people that are local to you, that if the police come and are talking to your children, they can be able to put them in a place where they'll be safe in the short term until your long-term guardians get there. Because I know I don't, and I'm sure you who are listening and watching today, you don't want your children to end up in a foster care situation. You don't want your children to end up as temporary wards of the state. You want them to go somewhere where they feel safe, with someone they know, and with someone you know and trust. And so it's very important that as you're doing your estate planning, that you name short-term and long-term guardians. Someone who's going to be there in the temporary, it could be a couple of days to a couple of weeks, and then someone who's going to be there, of course, until they graduate from high school and beyond. And as you're choosing those guardians, make sure you have conversations with them. Make sure you're talking to them and saying, hey, this is what I need you for. This is how I want you to be contacted. This is how I want you to talk to the police, talk to other social workers or whomever, where your children are in that immediate moment, so that your children will be taken care of. One of the things I teach my clients about is making sure that they have letters in place, making sure that they give clear directions and details on what to do. Matter of fact, in my firm, we even create what is called a guardianship card. And on that card, that can be carried in your wallet or in your purse. And if you are found, again, incapacitated or unfortunately have passed away, whomever is looking through your belongings, they can find this card. And on that card, it'll have short-term guardian, long-term guardian, phone numbers, addresses, and everything that they need in order to contact them, those individuals. And so it's very important that that's taken care of. But then you say, okay, I got this guardian that I'm putting in place. I got this person that I want to look after my children. And then some people just think, okay, well, I'm going to choose, Uncle Sam because I know that he has the financial means to take care of my children. It's not Uncle Sam's responsibility to take care of your children financially. It's your responsibility. And that's why in our firm, we talk about long-term planning as it relates to insurance, as it relates to savings accounts, and so on and so forth. Putting a trust together for your children, making sure that the finances are there for your guardians, because the guardians are taking care of your children's emotional and physical and spiritual well-being. They don't need to be worried about their financial well-being. That's your responsibility. And so we talk through with parents about making sure that the finances are in place, making sure trusts are in place so that the guardians will be taken care of in that moment financially, and so that whomever is taking care of your children, they have the things in place to be able to do so. This is also comes into place when you, especially when you have a blended family situation. I have a blended family, and so when you have blended family situations, there are going to be instances where the spouse that you're married to now may not be the biological parent of your children. And so what happens in that situation? So you may want to think about that long term. Figure out, okay, am I going to leave my children to my spouse who isn't the biological parent? Or am I going to leave them to someone else? Do I want my sister or my parents or, my best friend, my college roommate or whomever to take care of my children? So that's keenly important, making sure you're having those conversations, making sure you're talking to them. And then, of course, the future. What's going to happen to my children in the future when they get married, when they have children, when they want to buy a house, going to college, whatever the case may be? You need to be thinking about those things to set them up for the future, the short term and the long term. Your children are important. I know my children are important to me. I'm sure your children are important to you. Here at the Jones Law Firm, we sit down and we have a comprehensive conversation with you about your kids' protection planning. Make sure that you have guardians in place. Make sure that you have trusts in place. Make sure that you have your directives in place if you become incapacitated or unfortunately pass away prematurely. Make sure that if you like this video, you click the like button, click the subscribe button. We have videos coming out on a weekly basis talking about different things that's important, because I know that as a parent myself, that it's hugely important that my children are taken care of in the event of my incapacity or my death. And so I want to make sure that we talk to you and get to know you and get to know your family situation so that we can put the best, most comprehensive plan in place for you and your family. We appreciate it. Click the like buttons, click the subscribe button, visit our website, get more information. On there, we have different information about, estate planning and putting together a will or trust or whatever the case may be. We'll be happy to sit down and talk to you, tailor a plan specifically for you to make sure that you're getting exactly what you need for your family.